Most people think comebacks look dramatic. They imagine a powerful moment, a sudden realization, one big decision that changes everything. But real comebacks, they usually begin quietly, in silence, at night, when nobody is watching. And honestly, that's why most people never complete them. Because nobody notices in the beginning. There's no applause, no attention, no proof that you're improving. Just small decisions that nobody else can see. And maybe you understand that feeling. Maybe right now, you feel like your life stopped moving. Like somehow, everybody else continued growing, while you stayed in the same place. And the worst part, you remember who you used to be. You remember the motivation, the confidence, the ideas. You remember the version of yourself that actually believed something bigger was possible. But slowly, life distracted you, exhausted you, confused you, and after enough disappointment, you stopped expecting much from yourself. And honestly, that happens to more people than you think. Because failure rarely destroys people instantly. It happens slowly, through repeated disappointment, broken routines, wasted nights, delayed plans, and eventually, you wake up one day and barely recognize yourself. You become quieter, more tired, less hopeful. And maybe the hardest part is pretending you're okay while feeling completely disconnected from your own future. And let me ask you something honestly. How long have you been telling yourself, I'll fix my life soon? How many nights have you spent thinking about changing without actually changing anything? Because dreaming about change and building change are completely different things. One feels exciting, the other feels painful, repetitive, slow, and lonely. And loneliness is where most comebacks die, not because people are weak, but because rebuilding yourself in silence feels invisible. You wake up early, nobody notices. You start fixing your habits, nobody notices. You stop distracting yourself, nobody notices. You begin trying again, and still, nobody notices. And honestly, that can feel humiliating, because humans naturally want validation. We want signs. We want people to acknowledge our effort. But during a real comeback, that validation almost never arrives early. You continue anyway. And that's the part people don't talk about. The beginning of rebuilding your life feels emotionally confusing, because externally, nothing looks different yet. But internally, you're fighting battles every single day. You're fighting distraction, overthinking, exhaustion, your old habits, your old mindset, and sometimes your own memories, because maybe you still remember the moments you disappointed yourself, the promises you broke, the goals you abandoned. And every time you try again, a part of your mind whispers, what if this attempt ends the same way? And honestly, that voice becomes dangerous, because after enough failure, people stop fearing hard work. They start fearing hope. They stop wanting to believe that things can still improve. And maybe that's where you are right now. Not completely broken, just tired. Tired of restarting, tired of trying, tired of believing change is possible, only to fall back again. But listen carefully. The fact that you still want better matters. The fact that you still imagine another version of yourself matters, because some people completely surrender. They stop imagining. They stop trying. They accept unhappiness as their permanent identity. And slowly, they build an entire life around survival instead of growth. And survival mode changes people. You become reactive instead of intentional. You stop creating. You stop planning. You stop dreaming long term. You just focus on getting through the day. And honestly, that's one of the saddest ways to live. Because deep down, you know you were meant for more. You know your current habits are not the real you, but changing feels overwhelming. And maybe that's because you keep imagining transformation as one massive leap, when in reality, real comebacks are built through tiny repeated actions. One better morning, one disciplined decision, one productive hour, one moment where you choose growth over distraction. And at first, those moments feel insignificant, but repeated long enough, they change identities. And identity is everything. Because once you truly begin seeing yourself differently, your actions slowly follow. You stop identifying as someone who, and maybe that's why so many people give up too early. Not because they're incapable of changing, but because silence convinces them that nothing is happening. And silence is dangerous because when effort goes unnoticed, your mind starts questioning everything. Is this even worth it? Am I actually improving? What if nothing changes? And slowly, you begin doubting the process. But the truth is, most transformations happen invisibly first. Before your life changes, your habits change, your mindset changes, the way you speak to yourself changes. You become calmer, more intentional, less desperate for validation. And honestly, that internal shift matters more than people realize, because external success without internal stability eventually collapses. And maybe that's what happened before. Maybe you already had moments where things were improving, but mentally, you still felt lost. You still carried self-doubt. You still depended on motivation. And eventually, you returned to old patterns, because real change requires more than temporary excitement. It requires identity change. And identity change takes time. It takes repetition. It takes uncomfortable consistency. And consistency is difficult in a distracted world, because everywhere you look, something is trying to steal your attention, your focus, your discipline, your future. And maybe the scariest part, most distractions don't feel dangerous while they're happening. They feel harmless. One more video, one more hour wasted, one more delayed plan, one more excuse. And suddenly, a year disappears. And the painful part, you usually notice too late. That's why comebacks require awareness. You must honestly look at your life and admit what's destroying your potential. Not emotionally, truthfully. Your habits, your environment, your routines, your distractions. Because healing your future requires confronting your reality first. And honestly, that confrontation hurts. It hurts realizing how much time you wasted, how many opportunities you ignored, how many times fear controlled your decisions. But pain can become useful if it finally forces you to change. And maybe that's what this moment is. Not punishment, a wake-up call. Because sometimes people only transform when staying the same becomes unbearable. And maybe you reached that point. Maybe you're finally exhausted by your own patterns. Maybe you're tired of watching life move while you remain mentally stuck. And honestly, that frustration can become fuel. If you stop using it to hate yourself and start using it to rebuild yourself, because self-hatred never creates lasting discipline. It only creates emotional exhaustion. But self-respect, that changes behavior. When you begin respecting yourself, you stop tolerating habits that destroy your future. You stop normalizing laziness. You stop accepting constant distraction. You stop abandoning yourself every time things become difficult. And slowly, you begin becoming reliable to yourself again. And honestly, that feeling is powerful. When your mind finally trusts you again. When you say, "I'm going to change," and your actions actually follow. That rebuilds confidence. Real confidence. Not loud confidence. Not social media confidence. Quiet confidence. The kind built privately. The kind nobody sees at first. And maybe that's why real comebacks look boring externally, because most of the work happens in ordinary moments. Waking up earlier, finishing work you wanted to avoid, turning your phone off, going to the gym, studying when you're tired, continuing, even when your emotions tell you not to. And those moments, they seem small, but repeated enough, they completely change lives. And maybe 1 year from now, people will suddenly notice your growth. They'll notice your discipline, your confidence, your mindset, and they'll think, "You changed so fast." But they won't see the truth. They won't see the nights you forced yourself to continue. They won't see the loneliness, the doubt, the invisible effort. They'll only see the outcome, because people notice success late. But you must learn to continue before anyone notices. That's the real challenge, to remain committed while your progress still feels invisible. And honestly, very few people survive that stage. That's why most people never experience a real comeback. They stop too early. They expect immediate transformation. They want visible rewards instantly. But meaningful change almost always be